Today we're going to be building a basic chassis. So you're going to need at least 2 or 4 bars, 2 preferably longer and then 2 shorter. You do want to make sure that you can put 2 motors in between your slightly shorter ones for the length. Speaking of that, you're going to need the 2 motors, 2 motor brackets, 2 traction wheels, and then 4 Omni wheels. I want you to keep in mind during this that I had pretty limited parts, and you don't need to use the exact parts, you can use slightly different ones. You're also going to need a small Allen wrench for the motors, and then a few other tools. First step, make sure that you're tightening your axles into your motors, because those can easily fall out. And then I'm going to start attaching the motor brackets. I just used 4 bolts, and they go directly into the motor. Now I'm going to repeat this process on the other motor.
Yeah, that was like that was the engineering presentation.
Now you should have 2 successfully mounted brackets on the motor. And then we're going to go ahead and attach them to those longer pieces that you're going to use as the length of your robot. As you can see here, this is kind of like the basis of what our robot's going to look like. And then I'm going to attach it 4 holes down in the bottom just to give a little bit of space for my wheels since they're quite large.
I mean, I'm not as much worried to do it in as I am worried about paying for it.
Make sure that you're putting a top hat in between your motor and then whatever you're mounting to. That way you're not directly rubbing metal on metal. If you have metal on metal, that's usually not a good sign. I'm going to go ahead and attach this with 4 bolts and then nuts on the back side. I'm going to repeat this exact same process on the other one. Again, make sure you're putting on that top hat or a spacer to make sure that it's not touching metal on metal. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to go ahead and start attaching our other pieces so that we get a frame. And to do this, I just used L brackets and then also T screws. You're going to want to do this on all 4 corners and then also on the bottom side, which I'm not going to show in this video. But you want to make sure that your chassis is pretty rigid, and that's a good way to do that. Now let's go ahead and start attaching the wheels. So I'm putting the traction wheels on the ones that I've already mounted with the motor. Make sure again that you're not going straight in and that you're leaving a space. So I put a small top hat just to make sure that it's not directly touching the metal. And then I'm going to lock this together with a locking collar that you use a small Allen wrench to tighten. Now we're going to go ahead and do the front wheels. You're going to need 2 Omni wheels, a small axle, and then a couple of collars or spacers. I basically use collars and spacers during this just because my supplies are limited. When you're mounting Omni wheels, you want to make sure that the rollers aren't directly in front of each other. You kind of want to make sure that they're offset. And then I'm just putting a locking collar on the other side to make sure they don't fall off. I put 2 more locking collars, just kind of as spacers. Those aren't really necessary. And then I put a top hat, make sure metal is not on metal. Then I'm going to put another top hat on this side and then use that locking collar again. We're just going to repeat this process on the same side, exact same steps, just mirrored. Now you should have a basic chassis at the end of this.